Hello, folks. Welcome back. Gino Mordamese joins us now. He's a business owner in the area, owns three statewide family recreation center businesses, the main store right here off of Main Street over by Jimmy's Meal Repair. There was an incident he describes as an accident and where a young child was apparently traumatized. Not only was Gino arrested in his own establishment, he's being sued by the parents of the child. They released a statement here which says Mr. Mordecai is exposing himself to young children in a vulnerable environment. Sure, it's been a troubling time for him, for his family, for many associates. He joins us here today along with his lawyer spokesperson and some associates. Gino, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Can you kind of walk through what happened in this case for us?
Well,
I can speak to that, Mr. Birdman. My client was following mandatory state guidelines that are enforced vigorously by the state and that are so stringent that it's impossible for anyone to always follow them to the letter of the law in all instances. This is a case of government overreach and abuse of the system against a man who's done nothing but contribute joy and happiness to families across this state for years.
I just want to understand really what happened in this case. I know Mr. Mordamese was arrested. Can you just kind of walk through in this case exactly what happened in the incident on that day?
sure.
Please, as your lawyer, let me speak to that. As I mentioned, Mr. Birdman, my client was following protocol enforced by the state, and it was that focus, that commitment to excellence that led to the incident that we're discussing now. That's all.
So I understand, and from what I gather, he walked out of the bathroom, and apparently his unit was hanging out. Some kids saw it. He ran screaming back to his parents at the
It was an
table.
accident. I forgot to zip up, and after I washed my hands, I opened the door.
Again, I want to emphasize that my client's intent was to follow the mandatory guidelines enforced by the state. As you heard him say very clearly, he washed his hands before exiting the lavatory, a state requirement that has been abused by local and state politicians for years, and they try to get back at these poor citizens who try to stand in their way for corruption and against lawlessness. And
I just forgot to zip up. I wasn't wearing underwear, and I didn't even know the kid was yelling about it until I felt the zipper on the underside kind of cutting into it.
Please allow me to mention, Mr. Birdman, that Mr. Mordamese has been a leader in the community for years. He's dedicated his life to the happiness and well-being of children, the betterment of his community. The families he's served for years are very grateful to have a place of wholesome fun and enjoyment they can bring their families to, and will continue to do so for years to come, regardless of what kind of slander is used against him.
Gino, you must feel like this incident's kind of damaged your reputation a little bit, I imagine.
I mean, it's...
Reputation of Mr. Mordamese stands for itself. If you ask anyone in the community in general, you'll find massive support for this man, what he's done for them. I can tell you that.
I want to reiterate that my client is completely innocent of these charges and will be proven so in a court of law once his day comes. We intend to prove without any reasonable doubt that these charges are false. This entire incident is a sham cooked up by a shady backroom politician out to make the average man suffer.
Okay. I want to read the statement from the family. They said that their child's been deeply traumatized by the incident. They said the child was entering the bathroom. The door swung open. They said the child was hit in the face with his manhood, almost blinding him, and what they describe as Mr. Mordamese's oversized manhood. This is the released statement.
Well, it's not a contest.
If I may, Mr. Birdman, I believe I can personally attest to these charges and verify without question that they are blatantly false.
Well, how so, ma'am?
Yes, and I have been with him for about a year now, and I can tell you, it's not big enough to slap a child in the face, let alone blind one. This is something these parents and the child have blown way, way, way out of proportion.
Well, not way out of
I agree. I can confirm that there is no way this child was harmed by his manhood. It's not that intimidating. I assure you. It's not something you're going to see and go, wow, or anything like that.
I mean, I think it's just pretty
I can say I don't think he has on the door. I don't see any in any drawer. I don't think he have any ever. I seen his house ever from Mr. Thomas.
No, wait a minute. I have underwear.
Mr. Birdman, I must point out that a man without underwear is a virile and strong man with a very normal-sized manhood, certainly not large enough to shock or surprise anyone, let alone a small child who is probably about the same actual size as Mr. Mordamese, measured by a ruler.
Mr. Birdman, I must interject here again and reiterate that Mr. Mordamese has not been convicted of anything. He is completely innocent of these charges. There have been no formal charges ever suggested regarding any unlawful activity surrounding his undergarments or the size of his manhood. If that is something the state wants to battle with us in public, well, being the ruler will show them how overblown this size issue is for them, I'll tell you that.
I agree. Once the public sees the real size of Gino and his parts, they'll completely understand how much these claims have been way, way overblown.
No doubt about it. He's a very nice man, and he's being blamed for something I don't even think he's capable of doing if he wanted to. I don't even think he would be able to stick out of his pants with his zipper were open.
This is what we will prove in court as well. We will have our OJ and the gloves not fitting moment. We will have 3 condom sizes, small, medium, large will present, and even the small will fit very loosely on my client, as the jury will see. Once the jury sees this for themselves, be very clear the kind of man my client actually is.
I also want to note that Mr. Mordamese has never been photographed without his underwear on in public, and nor other children have ever reported that Mr. Mordamese has an oversized tool. Even those that have used the urinal next to him have never reported that his size was particularly threatening or impressive or even noticeable at all.
Well, when do you expect the trial to begin?
Well, we have a procedural...
I can answer that. We have a procedural hearing this week and expect jury selection to begin sometime early next month.
What's the procedural hearing about?
It's about whether or not the U.S. system of inches will be used in the case, or whether measurements will be presented in the metric system as the state desires. We feel introducing the metric system is a trick by the state to make things appear larger than they really are to the public. You say, 1 1/4 inches, and, that sounds like nothing. You say 38 millimeters, it sounds a lot bigger than 1 1/4 inches, believe me.
I also need to publicly reiterate that there is no public record anywhere of Mr. Mordamese being recorded to have a large-sized manhood, nor has anyone ever reported that an interaction with it has been even memorable, let alone exhausting or traumatizing.
I can confirm that as well. I don't think I even remember feeling it when we were together.
Yes, I agree. I can confirm as well. I think I even fell asleep once. I didn't even know it was in there.
See, that's why I thought there's no underwear as a casa. See.
Well, Mr. Mordamese, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.